I came to Sierra Leone in 2018 to join Easy Solar. So I was actually born in Kwekwe, the center of Zimbabwe, right in the middle of Zimbabwe. This is the reason why I had to come. There's something about this child. If you hit a woman, you hit a rock. And what that means is if you hit a woman, you're going to face resistance. You're actually going to hurt. Right. If it's the same stone here and the same stone here, this one goes under pressure and the other one doesn't. One will come out a diamond and the other one will remain the same. And I think if you want money in your business, you would usually have two options. If there are no grants, you either take debt or you go for equity. But if you want to grow a business, you should understand equity. You should use your equity wisely.
This is the JB Show, and it's your life by design.
Welcome to the JB Podcast, where we tell the story of African entrepreneurs, African change makers, people who are defying all the odds, defying gravity, to prove nothing is impossible. And today, a guest on the show to tell that we would walk through her own unique story of the battles that she's had to fight is a friend, is a colleague, is a sister, and her name is Tafadzwa Chiganga. Tafadzwa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, I'm good, Joe.
This has been long coming.
It's been long coming. We've talked about it so many times.
How's it going? It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's good to be here.
Safi, when did we, how did we get to first meet?
I don't know. You called me out of the blue.
I got your number from somebody,
Yeah.
Maybe from Marcos or something.
I don't remember. You just called me out of the blue, and we went for a drink, and we sat down and we talked for hours.
So let's talk about Tafadzwa. Who's Tafadzwa? You're not Sierra Leonean.
No.
But you've been here for 6-7 years?
Yeah, 8 years now.
8 years. You're married to a Sierra Leonean.
I'm married to a Sierra Leonean.
You have a boy?
Yes, I have.
His name is G?
Yes, I have a 5-year-old boy. My joy and my pride.
How good has your career become?
So I think it's become terrible over the last
Because
year.
you know why? Because you've not been...
Because I haven't been speaking it as much. But I don't know. I'll see on Tuesday. I'll have to use my Creole a lot, so we'll see.
Because you're teaching.
No, I'm doing a workshop on Tuesday.
And it has to be in Creole.
It has to be a mix, I think, of Creole and English.
Really, it's a bit of the Creole. You still remember? Which you get for the talk about from the seminar? Now, who did they talk to?
Okay, I talk to MSMEs that I do construction work for roads, feeder roads in rural areas, but inside the room, there be other sort of, I don't know if they will come, but ministry representatives.
What are you going to teach those, people that teach feeder roads?
Not for teach sales. It's for a validation workshop. I don't do one research forum for an equipment revolving fund. And so I present the results.
Then go do the validation.
Yeah.
And I create for the talk all the time. I feel to now go for that. You ever talk about it? You don't know self. All right, you originally from Zimbabwe.
I'm originally from Zimbabwe, yes. So I came to Sierra Leone in 2018 to join Easy Solar. I was invited to support. So Easy Solar is an Acumen investee, and I am an Acumen fellow. And so when one of the founders of Easy Solar was going on maternity leave, they wanted someone to cover for that period. And I came here supposedly for 6 months, and it's 8 years.
You found love.
I found love. I fell in love.
Now that we have found love, what are we gonna do
with it? That was the end of it.
You found love. So
Yeah.
and so you've been here since.
I've been here since 2018. Yeah. I worked with Easy Solar for about 2 years, and then after that, I set up Muzambiringa, and I've been working with Mzambinga for the last. This will be the 6th year.
Let's go back to Harare. Where in Harare were you born?
So I was actually born in Kwekwe.
The place is called Kwekwe.
In Kwekwe.
We'll try to find it on the map.
We can try and find it. It's right at the center of Zimbabwe, right in the middle of Zimbabwe.
It's not even in Harare.
No.
Okay.
It's a different city.
Okay.
So I was born in Kwekwe to...
What's the city called?
It's called Kwekwe.
Is that the biggest city? Like you have Harare, so the city itself is Kwekwe.
The city is called Kwekwe.
Okay.
The town, the smaller town around is called Redcliffe, and
Okay.
Toad is where I was born.
Okay.
Toad is another subsection of Redcliffe.
Okay.
And I was born to Lawrence and Spiwe as their third and last born. My father is Shona, but we do think he came from somewhere. We don't know exactly where. Because we are all moving.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a story of his grandparents having moved from somewhere. And then my mother is Ndebele, which is the second largest tribe in Zimbabwe. But the Ndebele people come from South Africa.
Even okay, you don't have Shonas in South Africa.
No, we have dialects of
Okay.
Shona. So if you're looking at the Bantu languages, there's the Ndebele, which has a lot of the clicks, the gabatubu, gabataka, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Shona, which is more Bantu sounding, like it sounds similar to Luganda.
So you say in the belly, that's one that has a click?
That's the one that has clicks. So it's part of the group of languages that have clicks. So there's Ndebele, there's Zulu, there's Xhosa, there's I think Sotho also has.
And which one's Trevor Noah? Which one is Trevor Noah from? I know Trevor
Trevor
Noah.
Noah's mom is
The mom is
Xhosa.
Xhosa, and
Yes.
so he has those clicks that
Yes.
do the click. Let me see.
They'll come when they come. It's difficult to think of a word right now. So what can I think of?
Like you said,
Kawe. I'll say Kawe. I'll say Kawe. Kawe is a word, right? It's a king.
how do you click? How do you get the click
Kawe
at the
lama
back?
Kawe.
Tabela batara.
Kawe lama Kawe, yeah.
It's interesting.
The way you train your tongue. You Creoles in the letter R.
Ah.
It's like, I don't know how.
How we're able to do that?
Yeah,
You train
my
your
husband
tongue.
when he's saying R, I was always like, what? It's like it's rolling on
Yes,
his
it's
tongue.
rolling.
Really
It's
rolls on
rolling.
his tongue,
So
yeah.
your mom, dad, 3 siblings. You're the last of
Yeah, I'm the
the
last
kids,
one. Yeah.
and you say 2 girls and a boy.
Yeah.
And there was a unique stuff that happened during your birth.
Yes.
At your birth, at the period of your birth. Tell us about that.
That's a funny story. I think we managed to demystify it just recently. But when my mom was
And you think it wasn't a mystery? It wasn't a mystery.
I don't think it was, but I think it has become a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way.
So tell us the story. Tell us what that story was.
When my mom was 9 months pregnant, she went to the chicken run, and we were keeping chickens for eggs at that time.
Mm-hmm.
She went to the chicken run and found a giant python in there. And pythons swallow their food whole. Mm-hmm. So because it had swallowed a couple of chickens, it couldn't move. It was full, so it was just lying there. And a python is a very difficult snake to see. So if you do see a python in my culture, they would say it's a sign from the gods that something supernatural or incredible is about to happen. And if it's a pregnant woman who sees that python, they say the child she will born is likely a weirdo in one way or form and shape, whether they're physically deformed or mentally deformed, or they are kings. So it's either there's a great person or some weirdo person. And on that same day, my grandmother had a premonition, I think. She just came from...
How far away did she live then?
She used to live around 6 hours away. Yeah.
She got a premonition that she had to be with her daughter.
Mom, yeah. And then when she got to my parents' house, there was a huge crowd because we in Zimbabwe at that time, and I think we still try to do it now, we don't kill wild animals. So when you see an animal like that you call national parks, they come and pick it up and put it back in the wild.
Who do you call?
National parks.
The national parks,
Yeah,
okay.
so they come and take it and put it back in the wild. So, and because it's a python, everybody wanted to see it. So the whole neighborhood was gathered at my parents' house when my grandmother arrived. And she was shook. She was just like, this is the reason why I had to come. There's something about this child. And so people had this wait and see. I was born probably 2 days later. And I think that became sort of the tone of how I was raised. At the end of the day, I feel like I was raised a king. I was raised a great person.
Not a queen?
No, a queen and a king. I think the difference is the same. I was born, raised, royalty, I think, a great person. And so my family allowed me to be and do whatever I felt like doing. And because of that, I felt also my family placed a lot of trust in me. And somehow it enabled me to get a lot of wisdom in my growing up. And I find myself in deep counsel of sometimes my elders in many ways. So I think that's fundamentally the story that sets the tone of who I am.
So we say Taffy the Python?
No, I don't want to be the Python, no. I'm happier with Taffy the Weirdo.
The Weirdo.
I don't mind, but the Python, no, I'm not.
Okay, so should either be a weirdo or she would be great. Which path do you think this is heading?
I think I'm on a path of greatness. I feel like so far, and it's interesting, they say life begins at 40, and I'm soon to turn 40. And I also have a feeling that if life is given to me, the best of my years are yet to come. What I have gone through or seen, I'm curious to see where I'm going to use it. I take everything that happens to me as a lesson. And so I have gone through some really difficult years in the past. I'll say the last 5 years were especially challenging for me. But I'm really curious to see, like, why did I go through that? What was I learning, and where am I going to use it, and how is that going to give back to my life or the life of others? And so, yeah, if life has it, I think they raised a great person. And that greatness is not so much about me. It's more about what I possibly represent.
And you said you may have done about 10,000 hours of teaching.
Yes.
And you would come back from primary school and you'll be teaching the walls.
Yes.
What are the sort of things you would have been saying at that point in time? The plants, the flowers, what would you have been saying to them?
So I would fundamentally regurgitate my class in school that day. So I would be teaching what we were taught in that day, or something that I particularly liked in the previous day. So for example, over the weekends, I would teach something that I'd found interesting during the course of the week. Mm-hmm. And it was a weird way of learning. I don't know why I was attracted to it. I don't know why I love to teach in that way. But it's so interesting that right now I do spend a significant chunk of my time teaching as well, or coaching with my work with Muzambiringa. So I do feel somehow it's come full circle. Yeah.
There are a couple of things I remember you continuously around and about. So when I see young executives, young girls, professionals, coming up and pushing, I have two people. I would normally share an example, point an example. Take as an example. And one of them is Indira Nooyi. Indira Nooyi used to be the vice president of PepsiCo International. Yeah. And so she has a big video clip, maybe 3 minutes, where she talked about how she would navigate being the vice president or the president of the biggest company in the world, and having to come home. Her mom was staying with them to help with stuff, and he would come home, this big executive, and the mom would tell her to go buy milk that they forgot to bring from the supermarket. So the executive stays at the office. Yes. Once she comes home, your wife and your mother and your daughter.
So hilariously true, because I feel like right now, when I moved back to Zim, I went to stay with my parents for a short time, and I realized I had been away for such a long time, and it would be great for us to actually stay together for a bit. So before I moved into my own space, I decided I was going to spend some time with my parents. So I've been staying with my parents all this time that I'm in Zim, and they don't mind me. They don't care. The other time I was trying to do something with my sister-in-law, and my mom was like, you know what, you don't know business. Let me teach you how to do business. I was like, do you even know that my bread and butter is trading businesses? He's like, no. You might be trading businesses, but you don't know. Let me show you. I was like, okay. I'm a nobody. When it's 6 o'clock, my mom is asking, where are you? You need to be home. So I have curfew. Oh my God. It's so hilarious.
And you're talking about, okay, the reason why I've been pointing, because it's how much of a warrior, you use this word, a warrior woman. You said you recently watched Winnie Mandela's documentary, and there was this movie about warrior queen and stuff. Okay, it's the warrior side of stuff that each time I point, I see young girls coming up, because you could see the fragility there, their ability to take just what life throws at them, you know. So I worked with a lady who's a financial, you know, as a finance manager, financial controller, and she would be ill, you know, seriously, well, whatever, you know, she would have a heavy fever. She would crawl under her table for 2 or 3 hours, and then shake off the fever and get up and sit on the desk again and continue work. So warrior woman. And how much, and you talked about your mom, how much of a warrior your mom represented, and at age 60 she would go to take her master's. Is that possible?
Yeah. It's possible. I think I look at the women in my family that have gone before me, my grandmothers, my mom, my aunts, and I think for the longest time, I always used to wonder what it was about me that made me not fit in a lot. If I have set my mind on something, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it, no matter how hard it is, no matter what I have to go through. And I think at some point it became a painful realization of this is who I am, particularly because I wanted to let go of things and I couldn't. So I remember having conversations with my grandmother, and she told me her life story. And from her telling her life story, it made me understand immediately why I am the way I am.
Who, your grandmother?
Yes, my grandmother. She fought to go to school. She fought to stay unmarried after her husband died. She fought against the system at the time, right? At the time when she was coming up, girls didn't go to school. Right. She gave me the example that her father paid for the dogs to get their injections, and the money was enough for her fees, and he still said he has no money. He would prefer to pay for the dogs than to pay for her to go to school. And so she worked her way through school. She left the home, went to a mission school, worked, and earned her fees, and got what she wanted. And so I saw that as well with my mom. Having been raised by a single mother in a colonial Zimbabwe, I feel like she had to fight for everything as well. And when she got the chance to go to school, she went to school. After the basic education, she continued to learn. And I think that level of curiosity also sits with me somewhere, somehow. But I think fundamentally, what I see is women who don't back down, women who don't say yes to what they don't want or they don't mean, women who stand for what they want and they'll do it anyway, as the type of women that I've seen growing up. And so if you tell me to back down, even if I have to, I probably don't even know how, because I've never seen anybody back down. I remember there's a time I was asking myself, building Mzambinga has been really tough, and I wanted to quit. And I asked myself, what does quitting look like? What would it look like?
You don't know because you don't know what it means.
I don't know what it means to quit. All I know is to push if I want it. Unless I don't want it, quitting is not difficult because you don't want it. It's no longer a thing. But if it's something you want.
You talked about the phrase hit a rock. Hit a woman.
So they, I think
hit a woman, hit a rock.
Yeah, I think Trevor Noah put it also. He talked about it. The statement says, if you hit a woman, you hit a rock. And what that means is, if you hit a woman, you're going to face resistance. You're actually going to hurt, right? If you want to push a woman off It's you who will suffer in the end. And I think I'm probably that type of woman.
Okay, but it's not every woman, because it's you have to
Yeah.
choose. How do you get to be who you are? It's funny stuff again.
I don't know if you
actually
choose
sometimes
it,
don't
though.
actually even go. You don't think it's chosen. You don't think it's a choice you make.
I think for me, it would be a choice not to fight if I don't want something.
And,
I will have to.
And where's this coming from? You think this is coming from all of the stories that you've told? What's the python? What if the python was just a myth?
Yeah, like we actually demystified it a few years ago because we laughed it off when we talked about it as a family.
It was much more. There's something much more than that event and the python and everything.
Yeah.
Because before the python, you could go back and you're talking about your grandmother
yes.
and all she had to do to defy
the odds.
So,
Yeah.
so what does it take to give? What does it take to give somebody that fighting spirit, like your grandmother has? How do people get to that? How does that happen?
I think it's a lot to do with your experiences, right? It's what you go through. I think it's two-pronged, right? Or three-pronged, I would say. One is what you go through, what you see around you, and probably also passed down in your DNA. If people have gone through, they say trauma is passed down, and trauma usually builds resilience. It gives character, right? If you've gone through, they say diamonds are made under pressure. If it's the same stone here and the same stone here, the same piece of sand or whatever it is, this one goes under pressure and the other one doesn't. One will come out a diamond and the other one will remain the same. And I think the experiences that you go through as a person will mold you and build you to be a certain kind of person, right? If I had grown up seeing women cower, seeing women step back and bow down and say, oh yeah,
walk all over me.
Yeah, then in that case, it would be normal for me because that's what I've seen happen. But in my case, I never saw that. So it never crosses my mind. The default reaction is to go for what you want. The default reaction is to fight if you need to fight. Like,
how does that help you keep the balance once it comes to relationships, a husband? I like that spirit. No. So I like that spirit. So in fact, we were joking about Ann Kansimi.
Yeah.
How could she not transfer her character to her husband, because she's always in this character where she always speaks a fight. She never backs down. She's always fighting. So again, how does a spirit like the spirit like you have now not to back down? Blah blah blah. How do you balance that in a home where there's a husband and there are these dynamics? So
I think my being tough and not backing down is quite reasonable in its occurrences, right?
Reasonable.
It's not like anything I don't want to back down. I don't want to back down from a fight that I know I can win. If it's something that I want for myself, I'm not going to back down if I really want it. But it's not like,
and right or wrong is not there. What if you think you're right? So
that's the good part, right?
Yes.
The good part is if I can see, I try to do the best I can with the information I have in that moment. If what I've done is wrong and I think I am right, I will still think I'm right. But if I get new information that what I've done is wrong, I'll accept the wrong. And I think that's the biggest way to learn, right? If you do something, and most of the time I see that we do things without the intention of doing a bad thing. You do it from a place of, I thought that was the best thing I would do in that moment. But when you get new information, you realize that maybe you did something wrong. And I'm not afraid to apologize. I'm not afraid to step back and say, I didn't do this the best way. I think I can apologize. And I think it's something that I've also trained myself. A key part of leading is being aware of yourself and being able to correct yourself when you go wrong, because whoever you're leading in whatever situation you find yourself follows you. If I'm not able to apologize, how can people that I lead be able to apologize? How can they learn from their mistakes if I don't learn from my mistakes? In terms of my marriage, I think my not backing down has a very positive effect on our relationship. And my not backing, because the things that I choose not to back down from in my marriage are things that are very good for us. So if it's upholding a certain standard of the relationship that we have, I do that and I fight for it, and my husband gives in, and at the end of the day we have a fantastic marriage. Or if I, like, just what we're talking about, like, you don't have anyone push you around. If I feel my husband is not treating me the right way, I will speak about it. And if he continues to treat me that way, I'll continue to speak about it. That's me not backing down until he gets it and he treats me in a way that I'm happy with. But in turn, I also have the very same approach. I really like it when my husband tells me when I've done something wrong so I can correct myself. He's my friend. He's my closest friend. And I think in as much, we always argue that apparently in our world, I'm the only person allowed to argue with him or fight with him. And he's the only person allowed to argue with him or with me and fight with me. If a third person tries to fight with me, he's going to fight for me. If a third person is trying to fight him, I'm going to fight for him. So at the end of the day, he's the person I want to protect the most. I want to take care of the most. And I think the not backing down is part of the doing that.
Let's talk about diamonds. Mm-hmm. We all hate having to go through challenges, tough things. And you've just talked about 5 years and how you're not complete.
Yeah.
Generals, it's the scars. If you haven't run a business that failed, don't talk to me. Don't teach me about resilience. If you haven't failed in life, if you haven't failed at anything, you can't teach me resilience because you haven't known what it is to fail. Can you drill down a little to say, you're seated here. I make reference to you when talking to young girls in terms of the fortitude, the mindset you have to drive, to push, to succeed in life. But you've been through tough things.
Yeah. I mean, and
those have shaped you much more than
absolutely
being treated as a royalty and stuff. But it's the tough things that actually built you.
Absolutely. I think that, like, there's a time one of my colleagues, I don't know if to call him a colleague, but one of the people closest to me approached one of my friends to tell them that they were worried about me because I was going through too much. There's a time when life can break down, and I believe in life seasons. I believe there's a season of drought. I believe there's a season of rain. I believe there's a season of harvest. And I believe there's a season of rest, right? And I think what I have told myself is nothing lasts forever. Even when it is happening, it's also a struggle to remind yourself that nothing lasts forever. Because when it's really happening, the days are long, the years are short. You're just going through the most back to back. I think it was a case where, oh my God, I was being sued by someone. I was moving houses. My property was broken. My car was not working. My son was sick. Like, all of that happening as a package for a person, you wonder why it's happening to you. And I think I have chosen, and not to say that when the things are happening, it doesn't hurt and I don't feel it. But I've chosen to say, if I'm facing it, it's making me better. I don't know what it will prepare me for. I don't know what I should expect of it. But I've also taught myself that life happens in seasons. And I think when I think about raising Newanji, that's one of the biggest things I want to teach him. That life happens in seasons. Somehow, when we were growing up, we were made to believe that life is going to be perfect. Everything's going to work out well for you for as long as you do this and you do it right, you do this, everything's going to be okay. You can do everything right and still go through hell because life has seasons. And it's not because you're hated or you're cursed or you've made a mistake. Life just happens to us all. Sometimes it happens one day, and then it happens again the third day, and then the fifth day, and other times it all happens in one day. And then it happens the next day, and the next day. So I think what I've taught myself is when the challenges come, there's nothing else to do but to embrace them. When you've worked so hard for something, and it's not coming to you, and you know you've worked hard for it, you continue to work hard. Because it's not always that you go out and plow and sow and weed that you'll have a harvest. But what you lose in the harvest, you learn in experiences. And if you're open to it, you understand how this time your harvest was better than the last time. and get better at it. No one can ever take away from me the experiences that I have because of the challenges I've faced. The person I've become is a result of what I've gone through. And I love that woman. I love the woman I've become. I love the woman I am becoming. And it's entirely because of the things that I've been through. So I kind of feel like we look at problems in life as if they're a negative part of life. But they are life. They are the fullness of life. If everything was smooth.
I think Tony Robbins says one of the biggest problems in life is to think we do not have to go through problems.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest problems.
I think, yeah.
And you're saying what you lose in the harvest that you did not get, you gain in the person you become, the experience that you've now had.
Yeah.
Better woman, stronger woman, resilient, fight
Exactly.
another day.
Exactly.
But it's easy to say it now.
What's happening?
It's
That
easy
doesn't feel like that.
you know, and some of the stories you're telling, you know, I'm part of those stories.
Yes,
I was aware of some of those seasons in your life that you've been going through.
Yeah.
And
I remember we sat down, the first day we sat down, we started talking, and somehow I just opened up to
you did.
And you were like, how are you going through all of this? I was like, I don't know, it's just happening, it's just life. You were part of it.
And it was a season, you know, I think we worked together for 6 months. And I got a sense of a bit of that.
Yeah. It was a tough season.
It's a hurricane. I think it was like I called it a hurricane. I called it a hurricane. It was a hurricane just blowing.
It was
everything.
Everything and in every direction.
Everything that could go wrong
was going wrong. And I think at that time I remember what I was really grateful for was that it did not touch my health. That no matter what was going on, I was still healthy enough to go through it and move through it. And I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is like, be grateful for what is working in that moment and not focus entirely on the part that's not.
Be grateful for what is working.
For what is working
moment.
in that moment. There are still things that are working in that moment. No matter how bad the hurricane is, there are things that are still working.
And that's where you start.
That's where you start. And then, you know, it's a very, it's a very deep process.
So there's a story of my old man, you know, my dad was 92 and he could no longer walk. From bedroom to living room to veranda and back to the bathroom. And he had a walker, he had something to move on. So he would say, you know, my knees don't walk. I'm weak here and up to here. I say, but my mouth walks. I can eat. When somebody comes and say, "Epa Osho," like I say, no, it's I'm not sick. I'm only old.
Exactly.
He said, I'm not sick now. Old. But that's a mindset. Again, I think I need to point out again this thoughts in terms of how we. I just had a call with my daughter. She stays in the US. And, we all, like said, life is in seasons. Life comes in season. Life comes in seasons. And you just show up for the season. There's Rudyard Kipling. There's a poem by Rudyard Kipling, but it's just show up every day. Yeah. It's just show up every day. If you allow your mind to go back in the past, it's regrets. I wish I had. I wish I had. I wish I had. Yeah. If you allow your mind to go forward, it's with anxiety. What if this does not happen? What if this not happen? So be in the present.
Yeah, absolutely.
With gratitude, celebrating. Yeah. Because what you think is a problem now, somebody is wishing they had that as a problem.
Do you know, it just reminded me of the phrase, some of us are crying for the future while we're living the life we prayed for. Right? You're
living the life. 10 years ago, what you're now living is what you were praying for.
Exactly.
And now you're living this life.
And then you've forgotten about it. You know, last year I had a very tough time in the last quarter of last year, I think. And I was evaluating Mzambinga, wondering like, we're not moving. I felt like we're not moving because the kind of milestones that I had in mind for us, we hadn't even met most of them. And then it just dawned on me, like, where were you last year? The space of 1 year, I was like, okay, I get it. If you want to really see your life and how it's changed, don't look at like last week and this week. A year is a good time. Even 1 year. Even a year is good enough for you to see the transformation, the changes that have happened in your life, and to give you reason to be grateful.
And that's where you start. So I said to my daughter, all of them, don't go to the past, it's regret. Don't go to the future, it's anxiety. Start with appreciation and gratitude for what you already have. But then, what's my game plan?
Yes. What's my way forward?
What's my way forward? What's my game plan? What's my way forward? And that's what should occupy 80% of your time. Gratitude. I'm grateful for where I am now, but what am I working on? What do I want to achieve? What am I supposed to be working on? Because the moment you spend 2 hours in the past, regrets, 3 hours with anxiety, so it's really about the game plan.
Yeah.
Just this afternoon, I had a call with my daughter, just remind her. I was with her for 7 weeks in the US, and then I was just reminding her again, your dad is a fighter. You're a warrior. You're the daughter of a warrior. Never stop fighting. Life is in seasons. Life is in seasons. Never stop fighting. I think this is a very strong message for somebody watching this today. It's easy to see the glamour, and but don't, not realizing how much we have gone through. So you're watching the JAB podcast, and my guest today is Tafadzwa Chiganga. My friend, a friend that I got to meet a couple of years back, worked with us at Life by Design for a brief while. Do respect her, and I hope she's already getting you to begin to believe again that it's possible to survive, it's possible to push and never stop fighting. And we take this break and we'll be back.
This is the JB Show, and it's your life by design.
Most business owners then just they guess waiting at the problem where them business get. Some can say, well, na marketing problem, but in staff then say, no, na the sales. Now we have a problem with. And the partner then at the business, na cash flow problem now then get. Everybody they guess, nobody know waiting they do the business. That is why we built one simple tool at the Startup Body Shop. You answer a few questions and the system analyzes your business and it shows you exactly what's the problem. Not vibes, not guessing, real business diagnostics. Because if you treat the wrong problem, you're just wasting your time, you're wasting money, and you're wasting energy. This tool shows you exactly what's blocking your business, what to fix first, and where to focus on if you want to see results. So stop guessing, diagnose your business today. Check the link in the description.
This is the JB Show, and it's your life by design.
Welcome back. The secret of men are in their stories. You lose all the battles you don't fight. Life comes in seasons. Diamonds are made off the rough, and adversities are part of life. And we have to keep fighting. As some of the lessons we've just shared. My guest today is Tafadzwa Chiganga. She is Zimbabwean. Have been in Sierra Leone for the last 8 years. I've just been asking her when she's going to get her passport because she's married to a Sierra Leonean and has a Sierra Leonean child.
I'm waiting for it.
So I'm asking her when she's going to go. So you actually, through high school, straight A's.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
I've been blessed to experience that life. Yeah.
Blessed to experience that life. Then university.
Then university, I was the worst student in class. So I finished A level as a top student in it was a good school in Zimbabwe, and this school usually would have double-digit number of straight A students, and in my year I was the only straight A student. So it was just one of those like, what just happened here? And not only was I the only straight A student, there weren't many in between. So there was a big gap between me and the rest of the students. And I think thinking about what we went through to get into that school, I never fit in that school at all, because I went to that school only for my A level and not for my secondary school. And when I got there, I was fundamentally bullied, even by the juniors, because I was the newest member in the school.
And it was a boarding school.
It was a boarding
school. So that everybody who's been there, they've been there together, and you're coming.
And I'm coming in, and I'm a day scholar, and I'm coming from a community. And so it was just one of those, who is she? So me graduating at the top of a class like that, the way it happened was quite a big deal. And we had a chat about it, and we decided I was going to do actuarial science. I loved math, I loved solving problems, and from what I read, an actuarial life was good. So I got into the lecturer class, which was a very select class. There were only 10 students per year in Zimbabwe doing lecturer science at the time. Now there are more students in different universities. At that time, it was only one university that had it. And I just was not meeting the profile. Again, I didn't fit into that class because I had a social life. I loved to dance. I had a boyfriend. I loved to dress up. I was a model. So I was just like all over the place, and you're expected to be nerdy. You're expected to be appreciating how you've been selected to be part of this class. So I think
there's one photo you had in your CV that 8 years ago, 9 years ago, that you appeared like a crazy. That's the stuff you're talking about.
Yeah,
you look so different. I think whether it was colored hair,
I was that person. I had piercings. I had red hair. I was just that person, right? And so I don't think I wasn't doing so well in class. I felt like they didn't really like the way I represented. Well, they didn't like what I represented, and as such, somebody had to fail in that class, so I did. But during the third year in universities in Zimbabwe, you'd go for internship, and you spend a whole year working. And there were a few companies that would hire people from my class. And at that time, people now knew the different companies that they paid well, they did this. And I got to go to the company that nobody wanted. And that's how I joined Old Mutual in Zimbabwe. I joined Old Mutual just thirsty. I wanted to learn as much as I could. And I went to Old Mutual without any ego at all. So I was keen to do anything that I was assigned to do, from making tea, taking minutes, not thinking, oh, I'm an actuarial student, so I should be doing programming, or I should be doing modeling, or I should be doing these other things. I did anything and everything that they sent me to. And looking back, I think I write really good minutes. I make really good tea. And I got access in Old Mutual to people that I would have never had access to because I was willing to do the dirty work. And after my internship year, I was offered a job, which had never happened before, and I don't know if it has ever happened again. And at the same time, our university had a shortage of lecturers. So our Part 4 lectures were happening as block releases. So you'd have a lecturer come from Harare to Bulawayo, where I was going to university, and they'll do a lecture over 2 weeks, and then I'll go back. So that actually worked well with me being on the job. So I spent that year as a full-time employee and a full-time student.
A lot of stuff happened after that. Then a master's in Italy.
Yes. So I think I worked for 3 companies in Zimbabwe. And with this curious mind I kind of continually chased growth. And I think by the time I was on the 3rd company, after the 2nd company, I volunteered for retrenchment because I thought I wanted to start Muzambiringa at that time. But then I realized immediately how much I didn't know. And so
that would have been, you say, around 2010, you say?
2010, 2011. It was 2011. And then I got back, I talked to my parents. My parents were having a panic attack. Like, what do you mean you want to start your own thing? Like, no. So I decided to take a 3rd job. And while in that 3rd job, I felt like there was still a lot to learn, and I wanted to learn from outside Zimbabwe. So I went and I did my master's at the University of Bologna in Italy. And I had actually taken a sabbatical from work for just one year. I had no intentions of leaving Zimbabwe for a long time. So I said I would go for 1 year. And then after the 1 year, I was like, I was hired by the university to do some extra work.
And then you said you realized how much you didn't know.
I realized then how much I didn't know. And I think I'd say for anybody who's willing to learn, find your way to travel. And leave your comfort zone, leave your regular place of being. Because in our regular places of being, we tell each other the same stories. And those same stories have particular truths and particular lies. And if nobody in your community is challenging those lies, you continue to believe them. And my experience of traveling and living outside my country have been entirely showing me that whatever I used to believe in is no longer what I believe in today. That the way I used to think about things is very different from how I think about things today. And I think it's all coming from learning. So when I left Zimbabwe, I felt like, I could do with just 1 year. And then I decided, let me do 2 years. And my employer was like, it's okay, you can do 2 years. And then I went back and I was like, you guys, I'm not coming back anytime soon because there was just so much to learn.
And then one of the things you said you had to battle with is being in a class mixed. You grew up Christian, raised in every bit a Christian, and then you had this class where you had atheists, you had Muslims, you had, and you had to navigate your faith through that, and you were asked a question about what's different about, and you didn't have anything to say, because you had not taken time to study. Other faiths.
And I think that's the part around being in one country and you all believe the same thing, right? I grew up believing that if you really loved and cared for somebody, you make them a Christian. You introduce them to Jesus. Anybody else who's not in that circle is kind of lost. They need help. You need to pray for them and all of that. And so having that fundamental conversation around the differences between religions, I think it was the point where I came to understand just how much I didn't know about religions. So I never would have questioned my religion as a Christian. I would have never questioned anything to do with my belief system, particularly on the spiritual side, if I hadn't had that opportunity where I felt like I really don't know anything. And so I feel when you stay in your one environment, you get stuck in the ways and the thinking of that environment. When you step out, you start seeing other truths. I didn't know countries like Sierra Leone exist, where you have Muslims and Christians living amicably together, where people are respecting each other's religions, where a population can be so big that's Muslim. For me, in my world, and the focus of the worlds we looked at, were entirely Christian communities.
Lens. So what does spirituality means to you? And what role does that play in who you are today and driving your life? What does spirituality mean to you now?
So for me, the very starting point is spirituality and religion are two very different things. I could have a debate on this the whole day, but I'm just going to highlight a few things. I believe that we are all spirit beings. I believe that we are all fundamentally good. I believe that when I say all of us is spirit, every living thing is a spirit.
This is a spirit, yeah.
I believe that the earth itself is a spirit, right? And we all interact in a way for our betterment. But if we function from a place of greed or whatever, then we have issues, right? I also fundamentally believe that the two guiding principles are love your neighbor as yourself, and the second one is love your God. And loving your God, for me, means everything and anything that God has created. There's a special mention to human beings, as in love your neighbor as yourself, but then there's also mention of trees, of the birds, of the oceans, of the environment in general, because they're all a symbol, a significance of a resemblance, a part of God in my world.
Do you pray? What does prayer? How do you pray currently? How do you pray when you wake up in the morning? What does prayer represent? What's your
prayer is a conversation with myself. Prayer is a conversation with the universe. It's a conversation with the trees and the birds and the dogs.
Do you talk to the trees?
I talk to them.
Is it how much is this part of the weirdo? It's not a weirdo. It has
nothing
to do.
I think it's a weirdo at work. I fundamentally believe that religion then becomes the X that you attach to spirituality. You pray looking this way, or you pray in tongues, or all of that. Those, I think, religious acts. You pray on Sunday, or is it Saturday? If you look at it, those are the areas where people usually debate on, where religions differ, right? Even in Christianity, you have the Catholics and the Adventists, and you have the Anglicans and the Methodists and the Pentecostals. All of this belief, their way of doing things is the way of doing things. That's why you end up having the religious acts that the Catholics do. The question of, is it Saturday, is it Sunday? I don't think that if God was a person in their being, they would care about some of the religious acts that we can find.
Yeah, about these religious differences. That's a discussion for another day.
I wanted
you to just pick it up again.
Yeah.
Again, this is part of the journey. This is part of the journey we go through life, and our ability, maturity is our ability to take two controversial or two opposites. Keep them in your mind, and your ability to be comfortable to say yes. These two things, they are in my mind, and
Absolutely.
and both can be right, both may be right, and I have that tension in my mind.
Yeah, you just remind me of that statement, the elusive dance of truth. I think one of the lessons I've learned in my life is that there is nothing that is absolutely true, other than the fact that there's nothing absolutely true.
Other than the fact that there's nothing that's absolutely true.
Because in any moment you have information available to you, and the truth is based on the information that you have available to you. For a certain number of years, I can't even tell how many centuries it was, we used to believe the earth was flat. And nobody challenged it because that's what everybody believed, and that's the information we had. When somebody then found out new information, we understood the earth was round. And now today we say the earth is round, it's spherical, you never know. Maybe it's not.
Muzambiringa.
Muzambiringa. So Muzambiringa is a Shona word for vine. And I think we came to the name of Muzambiringa with a colleague of mine who was sort of helping me when I was setting it up, who sort of was like my drawing board. With Mzambinga, what my journey was, you know how this started. I was working at a company in Zimbabwe that was doing investments, and we were fundraising for a company that was making chips and sweets and those kind of things. And during the fundraise, we had to do due diligence to understand the company, its financials, its operations, and all of that. And during the due diligence process, we realized that money was missing. There was money that had been raised before that should have been working to develop this company that was missing. The factory was in a state of disarray. I remember speaking to a guy who'd worked at this company for 37 years who hadn't been paid for 6 months. And this guy told me that he would leave home at 5 a.m. and be back home at 8 p.m. every day, which meant he fundamentally had no time with his children. And it bothered me. And so we finally found the money, the large amounts of money were going into the pockets of the top 5. These guys lived the most lavish life on the company tab, being able to afford international holidays, groceries, whatever they needed when other people were not getting paid. And it bothered me. That kind of economic injustice bothered me. I wanted to do something about it. And I believe that we have solutions that can empower people financially and economically, and that can also empower their communities. And so I wanted to help people to build businesses that would enable them to get out of poverty, but also get their communities out of poverty. And so I wanted to build businesses that would get better with time. So we build it today, but it continues to get better, because I think I narrowed down the issues that we have, the challenges that we have in Africa, to be coming from 2 main areas. One is access to information, to capital, to networks, to technical skills, just access. And then the second part is leadership. And so with Mzambinga, my goal was to work with the entrepreneurs and help them become leaders, not just business people, passionate leaders that are responsible for their communities, and build responsible businesses that continue to grow in that kind of structure. And my belief was, through these businesses, you see a different political environment for Africa. You'd see a different economic and social environment for Africa. You see a different Africa altogether, because we are all functioning with this kind of mindset, or we have people with power. You know, if you have economic power, you have power, right? So if their businesses succeed, and they're responsible people, and they've built this kind of culture in their businesses, then they have economic and political power most of the time. So that's where the name Mzambinga came from. I thought of grapes. You make wine, and wine tends to get better with time. As it ages, it's even better. So that's where fundamentally it started. But when I looked at the way the grapevine grows, right, and on the grapevine, if you go into and if you see a grapevine out of season, it looks like a dead plant. It's got no leaves. It looks so dry. But when it's time for growth, you see the leaves popping up. You see the grapes popping out. You see the grapes changing color and becoming this most delicious fruit that you can eat immediately, but if you make a wine, you can always have later. So I think that was the philosophy behind Muzambiringa as a concept. And I think that's what we continue to believe in. I think more than anything, every day we get reminded of how we are truly a Muzambiringa, because there are times when we are dry and dead. There's not even a single leaf you can see on us. And there's time when there are so many grapes hanging down. And I think we're also starting to see some of the impact around the wine that we are making. Some of the businesses that we've worked with are doing better and better. And I hope that we can get even more on that path.
Tafadzwa. And that's how you know vision exists, because maybe 6 months ago, 7 months ago, we were traveling to Nairobi.
Yeah.
And I asked you again about, the why of Muzambiringa. And exactly these two things. I know you talked about lack of access and lack of leadership.
Yeah.
And so, well stated. Question: what are the couple of stuff? What would you say are a couple of few things how do we bridge this access gap? Whether it's finance. A lot of the time, I was talking to somebody, a guest that I hosted, podcast that is coming out, who's raised maybe upwards of $15 million over the last 6 years in Sierra Leone, from Sierra Leone banks. And you would have, and it's a Sierra Leonean, and you would have, businesses, the first cry that they would have is access. Access, and a lot of the time is lack of preparation on our side as a business, to not have a strong business case, to not having validated ideas, to not having, tested whatever, early stage traction, prove this works, get a few customers, learn from that low level, where you have the numbers to go to a bank or whoever is providing the finance. Speak to that. How much of access is not just an external issue, but also lack of our preparedness as entrepreneurs?
So the question would be, for me, what comes first? When we look at some of...
That means you disagree with what I've just said?
Yes. Entirely.
Come on, let's do it.
A charge.
Let's do it.
So here's the thing, right? Like, we're talking about prototyping and testing and all of that, but I'll take it a step back. Why are people starting businesses in the first place? Most of the businesses that I have seen come into existence, particularly on the continent, are coming out of the survival need. They don't have income coming from anywhere else. The only place they can get money is if they try to buy and sell this thing, right? And then they buy and sell this thing, they get a bit more, they buy some more. And then they see this other thing is the one that's selling a bit more, they diversify. Right? So if you're looking from a place of how does a business start, it starts out of survival. And at the point where the business starts, is that information available to them? The truth is it's not. Our education system doesn't approach, at least when we were going to school, it didn't approach entrepreneurship as a life skill. I look at entrepreneurship as a life skill, because you can be entrepreneurial in so many ways. It doesn't always mean your business has to grow and be big and whatever, but you can be entrepreneurial in your approach in general. And I think the moment we start looking at entrepreneurship as a life skill, we approach things differently. Now, when we're looking at the question of accessing finance, for example, a lot of the businesses don't have what it takes for them to access finance, partly because they don't know. They don't even know that all of this is necessary. And remember what I said, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. That's when you realize you didn't know, right? And what I see is there are a lot of those kinds of businesses around where they really don't know. And sometimes when you don't know what you don't know, the question then becomes, are you willing to know? Or your ego stands in the way.
I hope you're not pushing my point, because ultimately I agree with what you're saying.
Yes.
It's not just an external issue. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
Your lack of access is not just because people are bad, people are hoarding and they don't want to help. It's a two-way thing.
It is actually a two-way thing. So when I look at what we've experienced with Mzambinga in the last year, we have people that don't know what they don't know and are close to information. right?
They are close to him.
There's resistance.
So anything new,
yes.
they've fallen in love with the idea that they have at the moment, and there's nothing new. They are ready to
Absolutely. I
take.
think one of the biggest challenges we have in the ecosystem is access to grants. That the entrepreneurship that we are building is a grant-financed entrepreneurship, when in actual fact, there's absolutely no real entrepreneurship that's financed.
Why is that? What's the downside to grant entrepreneurship? Grant finance entrepreneurship.
So the first thing that comes to mind is, if there's nothing wrong with grants funding entrepreneurship, particularly in environments where we are. There's a problem with entrepreneurship that's fundamentally based on grants, right? Number one, you don't get to understand how real business works. If you want money in your business, you would usually have two options. If there are no grants, you either take debt or you go for equity. A significant chunk of our businesses in Sierra Leone do not understand anything about equity. They don't. And a significant chunk of our businesses don't want any transaction that involves equity, because they know they can get money that takes nothing from them. But if you want to grow a business, you should understand equity. You should use your equity wisely. For me, the best capital for a business that's growing is a convertible debt. A debt that converts to equity at the point when you can fully ascertain the value of a company. Right now, I don't know of convertible debt distribution in Sierra Leone, unless it's an international investor. And if you try to have a conversation with that, like that, with a standard business in Sierra Leone, they're looking at you like, what are you saying?
And that's a discussion. That's a discussion I'd like us to have in future, not onto the show. But today was introducing Taffy, and the next time we sit, it would be to break down fundamental. It's a very important stuff that you've just shared. And like you said, it's the access to information. Some are open, some are not open, and then we'll be talking to those people who are open to getting new information, to know what they need to do to get out of this. And because there's this other side of grant where, because it's money that's free, how does that affect your ability to use it wisely to move the business? So
grants are not free money.
To you, to the business, it's not free?
It's not free money.
Explain.
Grants usually come with a stipulated list of
things that you do.
Yeah. So if you have a grant that's going to be lasting over a grant period of 12 months, for example, in those 12 months, a significant chunk of your time is going to go towards grant management issues.
And so that's the bit you say why it's not free. That's the price you pay.
Because if you're running a business in these 12 months, you want the flexibility to be able to follow the market trends. You want the flexibility to follow your operating environment.
And your bank locks you into what? Okay, the grant locks you into those deliverables that you have said.
Because you said this, in most grant disbursements, I don't know you're allowed to pivot your business model after the grant has been awarded. You're expected with this grant, you're supposed to buy X, Y, Z. If your company is at a point that is shifted during the period of the course of the grant, and you want to reuse those funds for something else that your company needs more than what you thought you needed at the point of applying for the grant, you can't.
We're going to have a discussion after this. There's something. There's something I want us to discuss after this, because there's just remind me.
All right, cool.
Remind me. There's something I want us to discuss after this. There are deep things around what's making entrepreneurship not to work. And then the question would be how to do that. We have partners, and how do we make sure even the partners who have the money bring in those things?
Yeah.
How informed are the partners in terms of milestones, in terms of what objectives they're supposed to set, in terms of innovative ideas that are out there, which wows the pitch deck? Pitch deck, do a pitch, and I'm trying to do a survey now to check last 5 years, those who've won pitch competitions, how many of those products have actually gone to market. Because sometimes it's innovation, it's the wow, this is a brilliant idea. But the fundamentals in terms of, can I turn this into, is this a business idea? Is this a viable business idea? Yeah. The proof is not there. What do you think we need to do in the space to make sure, part of the education we provide in this next journey, Muzambiringa, giving life, the vine, the longer the wine, the better it tastes, and but making business get better and better. And the freedom, there's power. I'm actually becoming your PR agency. Empowered entrepreneurs. They have more power to change. What do you think we need to do in the space?
Wow, that's a good question. And it's quite loaded. It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot. So it's an assignment. Keep thinking about it.
Yeah, I can give you a couple of things. It's just that I thought about it and I was just like, oh, I could talk about this again for hours. I would say fundamentally, we need to somewhat organize ourselves in the ecosystem. The ecosystem, the entrepreneur support organizations, the partners themselves, and to some extent, the government, right? And work hand-holding each other, but also...
Who needs to trigger that more? Can the ESOs come together and drive that?
So, last year there was conversation about an ESO association meeting. I heard that there's an association that has been registered for ESOs, but I've never been in that meeting. And the thing is, there's stuff that the ESOs should do. There's stuff that the development partners should do.
And
there's stuff that the banks,
the
finance investors should do. And there's stuff that the government should do, right? At the end of the day, I look at a lot of things, a lot of programs that we're having, and I think I query them. I query the impacts they will have and the success they will have. For SMEs, for example, or small businesses, I highly discourage getting a loan unless it's project financing. Right? For growth, I go for convertible debt because a loan needs to be serviced. And when you're growing a business, you need a lot of cash. So if you're now servicing a loan, it means you're getting money out of the business to go and pay for a loan. The amount of money you have left cash in the business is less. And so there's so many other ways that we're doing things that are coming again from a place of, I'll say this from a place of understanding that I don't know what I don't know as well. I'm telling you a truth
on the basis of what do you know now?
But I think that there are a lot of programs that we design that we are not looking at holistically. I think we have a pool of people that have incredible knowledge and experience in different sectors. And when we are designing some of these programs, it's important for us to leverage that skill and that knowledge amongst ourselves to be able to build something that's sustainable and something that will grow. And so I think we are moving in the right direction, but I think that we're learning the hard way most of the way when we could do it so much easier.
Tafadzwa, it's been a pleasant time talking with you, and I believe the audience who've been watching and listening, have gathered a lot from what you've shared.
Thank you.
I've seen you at your bravest. I've seen you at your weakest. I've seen tears come from your eyes, but I still reference, when I'm talking about people who are fighter, warrior. You said a warrior queen. Like I said, I would send a video of Indira Nooyi, and possibly, from the clips from this, I can now send them a clip of Tafadzwa having to fight the hurricanes that life throws at them. But now, what's your closing message to young girls and your fighting entrepreneurs? Just the heart that you have for entrepreneurs and this being a mission for you. You get things wrong, you get them right on the basis of information that's available, you're open to learn. What's the message, your final message of challenge, encouragement, the diamonds built on the rough? What's your final word?
I think if someone was listening to us, I would want certain things to stick. The first thing I would want to stick is understand life seasons. Do not expect to have a harvest season all the time. Even for the harvest season, you'll have planted in the rainy season for you to harvest. So there'll be a different season. There's a time when you're just putting in and putting in and putting in and putting in, and sometimes you don't see the results. There are times when it's dry, when it's just absolutely nothing is happening for you. But if you trust the life cycle, and trust that it has its seasons, when in time, if it's rainy season where you should be planting, just plant. It doesn't matter if you have lost so much. Make sure you get better at the planting, but plant all the same. Because when the seasons come and change, you can count on what you learned long back, and it comes into play. Like the 10,000 hours of teaching. I am very comfortable in front of people and teaching, which is now a core part of a core skill of my current profession, right? So that's number one. And then number two, what I would say is try your best to live a life that pleases you. I always try to ask myself if I have any regrets. I do have regrets about not having more of a social life at this point, especially the last few years. But I think other than that, I don't think I have any regrets.
Was it just part of a season again?
Yeah, I think
Your lack of a social life.
The lack of a social life was a lot of things at once. I did not feel like celebrating anything. But beyond that, I was building a company.
Season. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking you. Was that just part of a season?
Yeah, I was building a company, and because of that, that's why I'm saying I regret it, because I just needed to balance.
Okay.
I just needed
I understand.
to say I'm working hard, and I am this person. You know what I say? If you haven't seen me dance, you don't know me yet.
You don't know you.
You don't know me yet. And I think I haven't danced enough. What's
your favorite dance? Is it amapiano? What is it?
No, just music. Just play any music and let me move my body.
That's all.
That's all. It doesn't need to have a name.
It doesn't have
it
to.
Just has
it doesn't
to
need to have a name.
Yeah. So I think my second last words would be follow yourself. Follow what you're guided by. Be true to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Regret maybe the things you didn't do for the things you did. And you'll find that nothing goes to waste.
Nothing goes to waste.
Nothing goes to waste.
Regret. Say that word again. Regret.
Regret the things you didn't do for the things you did. You should never regret the things you did. Make sure you do everything you can do.
Because nothing goes to waste.
Because nothing goes to waste. Even if it doesn't give you the result you wanted in that moment, if it gives you a bad experience in that moment, nothing goes to waste. Try and find yourself and make yourself happy by making choices.
And actually good decisions as a result of experience.
Yes.
Experience is gained from also bad decisions you've made in the past.
Exactly.
That informs you. So if you're making better decisions now, it's
because
of
you have made
the wrong decisions, bad decisions in the past. That's strengthening.
Absolutely.
Tafadzwa, this would not end.
Forever and ever.
Forever. But thank you so much. This would never have happened. You reached out to me a couple of days ago and I said, Taffy, how long are you in town?
Let's do it.
We've
been talking about this, so it's good that we finally
we did it. So if you know somebody that I should talk to, a guest that I should feature on this program, the JB podcast, please, DM us and let's talk. Let's roll. You've had Taffy shared. You agree with some of the stuff she shared. You disagree with some of the stuff we shared. We want to keep this discussion rolling. That's what we stand for. JB and the mission that we have. But Taffy, it's been a pleasant time having you today. Don't shut it down. There are contacts there. Reach out to us. We want to help. Like Taffy is pushing. We want to help you grow your business and just grow and become better at what you do. Be open to new information, and we hope we would have another session. When next are you going to be in town? You don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know. We should do something. We should just do some. Just plan when you're coming back.
Yeah.
If the internet is strong enough, we can just do some stuff
online,
remote and do some stuff online. We'll see how it works and see the quality.
Absolutely.
But otherwise, keep fighting. Don't give up. Life is in seasons. It's just in seasons, and so know the season that you are in and just show up. Know the season that you are in and just show up. Don't complain about the seasons. Just show up. Just show up. Harvest season are preceded by a good time of sowing, and so know the season that you are in, show up, and keep fighting. Otherwise, you lose 100% of the battles you don't fight. Show up every day, fight every day, be open to learning new things. And we will be telling your story the next 5 years. You become another vine, another grape in the vine. But on behalf of our sponsors, AfriCell, AfriMoney, RC Bank, and the entire crew that's been here, keep fighting, keep pushing, because this is a life you can shape. This is a life you can design. God bless.
This is the JB Show, and it's your life by design.